Okay. Hi, what's up, guys? Here's PZ here again with a video. This time it's not gonna be a gameplay video. I'm gonna bring to you guys something new to the table. This is something I use on a regular basis in every game that I play. It's something I always talk about. If you guys have been watching my videos, it's something I always say in all my videos. And what it is called curve, right? It's kind of like this abstract concept that I always tell myself. I define it as an invisible line that tells you the average power level of the lobby. And here I'm gonna show you guys a little chart that kind of gives you the general idea of the power levels of all these builds. Of course, it's not gonna be perfect. I know it's a little bit scuffed with the paint and everything, but I put a lot of work into this. If you can't tell already, right here we have the y-axis, and it's gonna talk about the power levels. We labeled it from weak, average, strong to OP, right? OP is they're at their strongest, like they're gonna be able to beat a lot of builds, unless of course you're playing against counters and stuff. There's gonna be, as we're going through this, you're gonna realize there's gonna be a lot of exceptions. All right, so but that's not the point of the video. The point of the video is to help new players understand that this is like the most fundamental thing I feel like you need to learn if you want to get into like Queen, right? Because every Queen player, I feel like they know this, right? So, but if you know this, you'll be able to understand why they push at certain rounds or play passive on certain rounds, right? So, and on the x-axis here, we have the rounds, of course, right? So round 10 is gonna be early game, right? 0 to 10. Mid game is usually around like round 20. Late game 30, and then I put super late as in if you can even last, since we're in a pretty aggressive meta right now, if you can even last past round 40, it's it's super late game, right? And usually it's only about like 2 to 3 players that usually last around after round 40, right? So right here I have it color coded. This is my legend. We're gonna start out with Mage here, one of the most popular builds in the meta, right? They are color coded, so it's represented by the blue. Right, you're gonna see this curve right here. I'm gonna talk about it. So the reason why there's an exponential curve right here for mages is because they're really weak early game. Usually if you want to hold with mage, you're gonna have to kind of pick up a lot of random tanks like warriors or knights or whatever you can pick up, any 2-star goblins, right? But without them, they're really weak early game unless you can high roll, I don't know, 2-star flaming wizard or something. But most of the time they're gonna be really weak early game. So that's why you can see right here, early game, weak. But as they get into mid game, you guys see me play. Mages I always say that they always spike on 21. Sometimes they spike earlier, sometimes they spike on round 15, but most of the time they're gonna be around 21. Right, so that's when they get strong. If they can pull that Tortala with the pole staff, and most of the time you're going into mages, you're gonna see them with the pole staff, right? So that's when they can probably clear out your board if you're not positioned correctly or you don't have like marines or a counter build. And from then they don't really get weaker. They kind of like just stable out for a little bit. They can stop their bleeding, but they don't really get strong until they can finally finish their build, whether it's legendaries or 6 mages. So that's why if you ever fight mages, by the time they're at level 40, round 40, I mean, they're gonna be really strong, right? And of course yourself also. So all right, so next build we have here is Warrior. Warrior has a little bit different curve. You can't really see it right here because it's under all the beautiful mess. But Warrior kind of also, it's a little bit different. Warriors start out strong. A lot of people tend to use warriors early just to help out their builds, like hunters or mages, right? Because they can hold their line, especially if you have a lot of 2-star warriors in the beginning, right? So they're gonna be pretty strong in the early game. But the thing is, they don't really if you could high roll them, I'd say like if you get a bunch of 2s, they can get pretty OP. But most of the time they're only gonna stay at this level. They don't really spike any higher than this. Even mid game, like if you have 2-star, they can probably hold your lane. They could probably like win a couple rounds, but I never see them like go on full win streaks anymore. Not in this meta anyways. And by the time they get into late game, they're getting smacked, right? They're getting smacked by mages. They're getting smacked by even assassins. They're getting smacked by, because assassins, you know, the players that are going into assassins, they have cleave by now, and they have cleave. They don't care about armor. They're gonna cleave through with their peer damage, and that's when warriors are really weak. It's really hard to, you know, be really strong right here. But if you can pass through round 30 and actually get to around like the round 40, that's assuming you have a full-on warrior build, right? All 2 stars and maybe even a couple 3 stars, and you know, a couple good items on your warriors, and even, you know, Siren for CCs, and then Marine for mages. So they actually get pretty strong late game, but most of the time they're just gonna be kind of like a stable build to play if you want to place like top 3. But you know, sometimes they don't really win. Oh, actually, a lot of times they don't really win unless you actually pull your units. Okay, so next one, Hunter. Not a very popular build this meta, right? I had to kind of fix this a little bit, because the old way to play Hunter, they were actually more curvy on the build, but I think this meta is very different for Hunters. They used to scale really well, but now it's more about spiking early with Hunter, or a lot of people will try to spike early with Hunter because that's when they get the strong advantage, and that's where they're gonna be. You're gonna be able to find your gold. But after that, once they get to like mid and late game, you know, the assassins go online right here, the mages go online right here, and this is when they just get smacked. They can't do anything about them, especially if you're trying to go 6 Hunter, or if you have warrior Hunter and you don't have marines on the board, you cannot do anything. You just start losing all your gold, all your HP. Even if you're like streaking the whole game, even if you're like around 90 HP, you'll be dropping right here. So as long as you understand that and like try to position yourself to get to a placement that you want. So for example, if you know that you can't beat these guys by late game, maybe you just want to spam all your gold and try to salvage and try to place top 3 if you can at this. If you could hold around here and get to late game, then maybe you can probably place top 3 with Hunters. Next we have Feathered. Feathered is a very interesting build. They have, I think, the highest exponential curve out of all of them. Well, I guess other than Goblins here. Goblins have a pretty steep curve also. Okay, so Feathered, they start out early. I gave them a strong for early game because they have the potential to be really strong. But they have the potential to be OP, but a lot of times in this meta, people rather spike mid game with Feathered. And I think they're actually the strongest. I don't see any build beating Feathered mid game. They are one of the strong. They could be, and the reason for that is that they can hit 3 stars so easily. So a lot of players tend to just go all in during mid game with them. If they find early 2-star druids with them, they'll even go early all in early game, and then try to go into mid game and still be strong. But after that, you know they're not gonna have any econ for late game, so the drop is pretty hard. If you could last against Feathered through that mid game, you'll be pretty good against them late game, right? So the reason why I'm telling you guys all this is because you can use this to your advantage. Of course, this is not going to be perfect because everyone plays differently. But from, you know, my thousands of games I've played, this tends to be the curve that I see a lot of players follow. And I use this every day. Like, I use this to my advantage. To see where they're at, and to see, let's say for an example, right, I am an assassin player and I was right here, I want an assassin player mid game or something, and if I know I'm weak mid game, this is one of the reasons why I play so aggressive with assassins, because I think mid game they kind of fall off a little bit, because, and the reason for that is they don't have their 2s, so you have to either choose to roll for your 2s, or you have to sit on your econ and then spam around level 8 or level 9 for your 2s, right? So that's why it's one of the reasons why I play aggressive, because they have the potential to beat all these curves right here. As long as you play a little bit more aggressive and bring this curve up, and you'll be able to beat all these builds that are right here. And as long as you pass this curve, you're pretty much set for the rest of the game. And that's why I think assassins are probably one of the better builds in this, because their weakness is like, it's such a small margin that people don't really it's a small margin in a part of the game where a lot of people tend to play on curve and they don't really care about punishing people. So what they end up doing around here during mid game is that everybody wants to sit to 50 gold, right? So this is why assassins, you can exploit that. You can take advantage of people right here. Lastly, last but not least, we have goblins. Used to be one of the strongest builds in the game. They did fall off a little bit, but I still think they're still pretty strong, as long as you know, are able to pull your 6 goblins decently early in the game, right? So I say if you pull goblins earlier than 20, that's a high roll. I don't see a lot of players pulling 6 goblins earlier than 20. Where they end up pulling 6 goblins is between 20 and 30, and that's pretty average. And that's why this curve right here, you see them you see the line going up, right? Because if they pull their goblins right here, that's when they get strong. But they're not OP yet because they can't beat counter builds, especially against mages, until they pull their marines, right? So if you could pull your units, your counter units, then they get pretty OP. But if you can't, then they're just gonna be right here and they're just gonna flatline. But early game, you guys already know, goblins are probably one of the best early games in the game. So definitely try to follow this. Especially for, I really recommend this for a lot of new players in the game. If you guys enjoy this kind of content, make sure you guys like and subscribe. If you guys want me to this is a very general chart. If you guys want me to make a curve for any specific builds, like for god mages or for I don't know, glacier goblins or glacier knights, dragon knights, feel free to drop a comment down below and I will answer all your comments, and I'll give you a curve for all of them, and you can make your own beautiful chart here, right? I'll also link this chart in the description so you guys can download it yourself or just take a picture. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll try to do more of this content in the future. I'll see you guys next time, and peace.